Ladies and gentlemen, beloved family and faith, today I stand before you not just with words, but with a heart full of conviction and a spirit overflowing with the promise of hope. Yes, I know some of you may be sitting here with wounds that run deep. Maybe you've lost something precious. Maybe you feel like you've been fighting battles that seem too great to overcome. But I came to tell you this today: God is undoing the damage. I want you to hear me when I say God sees everything. Every tear you've cried, every battle you faced in silence, every moment you felt alone, God sees it. He sees every hardship and every heartbreak. Nothing in your life has escaped His view. He knows every challenge you've encountered. And the truth is, God doesn't abandon His children. No, He doesn't. Our God, He's not just the God of creation, He's the God of restoration, the God who rebuilds what was broken, the God who turns devastation into glory, the God who promises us that He will take the ashes of our losses and turn them into beauty. Are you hearing me? God doesn't just heal, He restores fully and completely. There's something I need you to know. God is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it, even when you feel forgotten. God is in the midst of the mess, orchestrating a comeback, aligning your story for His glory. What you think is lost, God is turning into a testimony. What seems impossible, God is making possible. Renew your faith, my friends. Let your trust in God rise higher than your doubts. When your faith wavers, remember this: God's plan is perfect. His timing is divine. You don't have to understand every step. You just have to trust every move. You see, trials have a way of transforming us. Yes, transforming, not just breaking us, but shaping us, molding us into something greater than we could ever imagine. God doesn't waste a struggle. Every trial, every setback, every moment of pain, God uses it to create resilience, to build character, to strengthen us in ways we never knew we needed. Let's have the courage to embrace change, not with fear, but with faith. God is leading us, guiding us, showing us that change is not an end, it is the beginning of God's work in our lives. We will not retreat, we will advance, knowing that God goes before us. And here's where I want you to hold on to hope. Your future is full of promise, full of promise. God promises us not just survival, but a life of abundance, joy, and victory. A life where blessings overflow, where restoration is complete, and where God's light shines brighter than any darkness we faced. So I stand here with an unwavering belief, a heart full of hope, and a conviction that God is undoing the damage. He's not only healing what's broken, He's building something stronger, brighter, and more beautiful than we could ever have imagined. Let's walk this journey together with faith, with courage, and with the unshakable knowledge that our God is the God of restoration, renewal, and victory. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep moving forward. God's promises are true. God's work is unfolding, and God, our faithful God is with us every step of the way. We begin this message by acknowledging something that weighs heavily on the hearts of so many of you. I know that there are people here today who have experienced loss of dreams, loss of loved ones, loss of time, loss of stability. Some of you have fought battles that no one sees and carry burdens that only you know the weight of. Life has a way of dealing us blows that shake our foundations, moments that leave us feeling like the ground beneath our feet has cracked and shattered into pieces. I see you. I see the weariness in your eyes, the tears you've hidden, the nights you've spent asking God why. But let me say this: it's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel the pain. God gave us emotions for a reason. He gave us the capacity to weep, to struggle, and yes, to hurt. There is no shame in being vulnerable. There is no weakness in admitting that you are tired, that you are broken, that you are unsure of how to move forward. God doesn't judge your tears. He collects them. He holds your heart in His hands, each beat a testament to your resilience. He knows every moment of suffering, every disappointment, every setback, every moment where hope seemed just out of reach. Nothing has escaped his notice. Some of you might be wondering, why would God allow this? Why would God let good people suffer, let dreams shatter, let relationships break, let illness take hold? It's a question that echoes in the deepest parts of our souls. But I want to remind you of something. God does not delight in our pain. God doesn't find joy in our struggles. Instead, God promises that He is with us in the trenches of battle, in the quiet moments of despair, in the loud storms of confusion. God is present. God is working even when we don't see it, even when it feels like He's distant. He is here, His hand still at work, holding everything together. I acknowledge the anger you may feel, the confusion that clouds your heart, and the hopelessness that tries to take root in your spirit. But I'm here to tell you that God doesn't intend for your story to end in suffering. God has a purpose. Even in the brokenness, even in the mess, God has a plan to heal, a plan to restore, a plan to bring back everything that seems lost. God's commitment to us is not just about existence, it's about transformation. It's about rising again with a strength you never imagined, a wisdom you never sought, and a joy that no one can take away. You may not understand what you're going through right now, but trust this: God is working on your behalf, even in the unseen moments, even when answers don't come. God walks beside us in our pain. He sits with us in our work. Let me speak this truth into your spirit. God sees everything. I mean, everything. Every tear that falls from your eyes, every struggle that feels too heavy to bear, every sleepless night where your heart races with worry. Every unanswered prayer, every moment where you felt abandoned, every setback that left you questioning your path, God sees it all. Nothing, and I mean nothing, escapes the gaze of God. Sometimes we look around and wonder if anyone truly sees us. We feel unseen in our struggles, invisible in our efforts, neglected in our pain. But hear me now, you are not invisible to God. You are not forgotten. The creator of the universe, the one who formed the stars and knit your being together in your mother's womb, sees you. He sees your heart, your fight, your doubts, your resilience, and your weariness. And more than that, He cares deeply about what you are experiencing. He cares about the details that others might overlook. He cares about the moments that leave you breathless with sorrow. God sees the times when you stood strong but felt like crumbling. He sees the battles you fought in private, the ones no one applauded, the victories that went unrecognized. And He sees the moments when hope feels like a distant memory, when darkness seems to have the upper hand, and when the path ahead looks uncertain and unyielding. God sees it, and because He sees it, He is moved by your pain, your courage, your losses, and your victories. Move to act, move to act. Move to heal, move to restore, move to bring you into a purpose that is greater than what you've known. God's eyes don't just look at what's happening. His eyes look through it, beyond it, into your heart, into your potential, into your destiny. He sees the beauty in your brokenness, the strength in your vulnerability, and the triumph in your trials. God sees not only who you are now, but who you can become with His guidance. He sees a future where you stand not in defeat, but in triumph, not in despair, but in hope, not in weakness, but in strength. When the world tries to make you believe that your struggles define you, God sees your inner strength and the resilience that's rising within you. When you doubt your worth, God sees your value. When you question your purpose, God sees the calling that He has placed on your life. God's vision is not limited like ours, it is eternal. It is clear, it is all-encompassing. And in His seeing, there is a promise He will not abandon you, not now, not ever. But So hold on to this truth. God sees everything, every high and every low, every laugh and every tear, every moment of joy and every moment of sorrow. And because God sees everything, He is working even in the unseen corners of your life, even when you don't recognize it. He's working to heal the wounds, to repair the broken pieces, to pave a path where there seems to be no way. In God's sight, your pain is not pointless, your struggles are not in vain, and your story is not over. God sees you, and He is committed to walking with you every step, transforming your trials into triumphs, your losses into lessons, and your darkness into light. I want you to hold on to this with everything in your heart. Our God is the God of restoration. Not just a God who heals a little here and there, but a God who rebuilds, a God who restores fully, completely, and miraculously. He is the God who takes what is broken and makes it whole again. He is not just a patcher of wounds. He is the one who turns brokenness into beauty, loss into gain, and despair into hope. Sometimes life leaves us with ruins, dreams that fell apart, relationships that fractured, finances that crumbled, health that deteriorated, or faith that wavered. You look around at the wreckage and think, how can this ever be made whole again? But let me tell you, our God doesn't just repair, He restores. He doesn't just make things a little better, He makes them better than they ever were. This is the kind of God we serve, a God of restoration. Think about it. In the beginning, God spoke creation into existence. He created order out of chaos, beauty out of emptiness. That same God, the one who brought light into darkness, who created life from dust, He is the God who restores. When Job lost everything, when Israel faced defeat and exile, when Peter denied Jesus in every instance, God showed up with a plan for restoration. Not only did God restore their fortunes and relationships, but He also restored their purpose and their faith. God didn't just bring back what was lost. He built a new foundation, stronger and more resilient than before. Our God has a way of taking the messiest parts of our lives, the parts we want to hide, the parts we regret, the parts that seem irreparable, and turning them into a testimony of His power and grace. He doesn't see your failures as final. He sees them as stepping stones to success. He doesn't see your hurt as an end. He sees it as a chance to show His healing power. He doesn't see your past as a burden. He sees it as a building block for your future. The God of restoration doesn't just heal broken hearts, He rebuilds broken spirits. He doesn't just mend shattered relationships, He strengthens bonds in ways that reflect His love. He doesn't just replace what was lost, He transforms it into something new, something purpose-filled, something that magnifies His glory. You may be in a season where it feels like too much has been lost, too much has been broken, too much time has been wasted. But I assure you, God is in the business of restoration. He promises us not just a return to what was, but a rise to what can be. A better life, a stronger you, a brighter future, a deeper faith. God sees the potential where others see defeat. He sees beauty where others see decay. He sees purpose where others see pain. Trust in the God of restoration. Trust that His vision is clear, His love is powerful, and His plan is perfect. Let go of the belief that your mistakes define you, that your losses are final, that your wounds are too deep to heal. Let God, who created you, who loves you, who sustains you, step into your mess and do what only He can do: restore, rebuild, and reimagine your life into a masterpiece of His grace and glory. In every corner of your story where hope seems lost, God is bringing about a comeback, a divine comeback, a comeback where joy replaces sorrow, strength replaces weakness, and purpose replaces confusion. Let your heart hold on to the unwavering truth: God restores, not just in part, but in fullness. He is the God who turns mourning into dancing, loss into laughter, and failure into faithfulness. Believe in Him. Trust in His promises, and know that with God, what was once broken will become a beacon of His miraculous restoration. I need you to hold on to this truth deep in your heart. God is working behind the scenes. Even when you can't see him, even when it feels like nothing is happening, even when hope seems to be slipping away, God is at work. You may not always see his hand, but his presence is constant. His power is moving. His plans are unfolding, and his commitment to you is unwavering. How often do we find ourselves wanting to see immediate results, wanting God to show up in the ways we expect, in the timeline we want, and in the manner we understand, but God doesn't always work the way we think. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are beyond our comprehension, and thank God for that. Because if God only worked in ways we could see and understand, his greatness would be far too small for our challenges. But God operates in realms that we cannot see, in spaces that our eyes can't penetrate, in moments where his action is hidden, but his love is undeniable. God is moving in the background of your life, orchestrating circumstances, shifting hearts, setting up connections, and opening doors that you never knew existed. He is working through your trials, through your setbacks, through your doubts, and through your failures. You may be facing a battle that seems insurmountable, but God is using it as a setup for a greater comeback. He is turning your struggle into a strategy for your triumph. What looks like defeat is a divine setup for God's glory. Even in your waiting, God is working. When you feel like you're stuck in a season with no end in sight, God is using that time to build your patience, to strengthen your resilience, to deepen your trust, and to sharpen your faith. The moments where you feel most alone are the moments where God is actually drawing you closest to him, teaching you lessons that only come through struggle, lessons that only come through walking through fire. God's work behind the scenes is not about making quick fixes or fleeting solutions. It's about creating something eternal, something robust, something that will stand the test of time. He is building character where weakness tries to reside. So he is laying foundations of faith where doubt tries to reign. He is planting seeds of hope where despair threatens to take root. Every setback, every disappointment, every heartbreak, God is using it for a purpose far greater than we can see. He is working on a canvas so vast and intricate that only his eyes can see the full picture. And oh, what a picture it is. Let me remind you, God is not limited by circumstances. He is not restricted by what you see or don't see. He is not deterred by time or by our inability to comprehend his plan. He moves hearts when we don't ask. He opens doors when we don't knock. He creates opportunities when we have stopped hoping. God is a master planner, a relentless architect, a faithful promise keeper. He doesn't stop. He doesn't rest. His work is relentless because his love for us is relentless. So when you feel like giving up, when you question whether your prayers are heard, when it seems like God is distant, remember this: God is right there working, moving, shaping, restoring, creating, preparing. Even in the shadows, God's work is mighty. His work is faithful. And his work is filled with purpose. Trust that God is not only in your moments of clarity, but also in the unseen, in the confusion, in the heartache, in the waiting. Trust that his commitment to you is to bring good out of every situation, to weave your struggles into a testimony of his power, his grace, and his unbreakable love. Let God's invisible work remind you of his visible faithfulness. Rest in the knowledge that God is not only present, but actively working behind every scene, every setback, every tear, every doubt, and every victory. He is preparing you, positioning you, and providing for you in ways that will one day become clear, not just to you, but to everyone around you. And when his work is fully revealed, it will be a testament not to our endurance, but to his unwavering, miraculous, and unstoppable love. I want you to hear this loud and clear. God transforms us through our trials. Yes, trials, the struggles, the setbacks, the moments when life feels unfair, the times when hope seems to vanish, the wounds that cut deep. These are not moments that just break us. They are moments where God does his deepest, most powerful work. He doesn't just let us suffer. He uses every hardship as a tool, a chisel, a furnace, a means of shaping us into something greater, something stronger, something more resilient than we ever knew we could become. We often look at trials as obstacles, as interruptions, as setbacks that bring us to a halt. But what if I told you that God sees those same trials as opportunities for transformation? What if I told you that every setback, every heartache, every disappointment, every failure is an invitation to become more courageous, more faithful, more resilient, more grounded in purpose, and more aligned with God's divine plan? Think about gold being refined in a furnace. The process is not easy. The heat is intense, unyielding, and unrelenting. But it's in that furnace that impurities are burned away, where raw material is purified, and what remains is something valuable, something precious. That is how God works in our lives. He uses the trials to purify our faith, to strengthen our character, to strip away what doesn't serve us, and to build a foundation that is unshakable. God is not content for us to remain as we are. He loves us too much to let us settle for mediocrity, for comfort, for passivity. He calls us to grow, to rise, to become who we were truly meant to be. God uses trials as a master craftsman uses tools carefully and intentionally. He is chiseling away the parts of us that need to be removed, breaking down our pride, our doubts, our insecurities, and our weaknesses. And in their place, he builds resilience, wisdom, and courage. He replaces doubt with trust, fear with faith, and confusion with clarity. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every loss is an opportunity for gain. Every moment of hardship is a chance for God to show us that we are stronger than we think, that we are capable of resilience we never imagined, that we are grounded in a purpose far greater than our own. God takes the broken pieces of our lives and transforms them into a testimony of his grace, a monument to his power, and a witness to his unyielding love. We may not always see the transformation happening in real time. In the midst of struggle, it often feels like we're losing rather than gaining. But God sees what we cannot see. He sees the character being built, the faith being strengthened, the wisdom being formed. He sees the growth that comes not from success, but from surviving difficulty, not from ease, but from overcoming hardship. Look at Joseph, who was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, imprisoned, and forgotten. But God transformed Joseph's trials into a position of power, purpose, and influence. Or consider Job, who lost everything but, through his trials, came to understand the depths of God's sovereignty and love. Or Peter, who denied Jesus but was later restored and became a foundation of the early church. In each of these lives, God took trials and turned them into testimonies of resilience, purpose, and divine destiny. You too are being shaped. God is transforming your pain into purpose, your scars into stories of survival, your setbacks into setups for a breakthrough. The trials you face today are not pointless. They are part of a divine plan to build your strength, your character, and your faith. God is creating something in you that will stand the test of time, something that will bring glory to him and good to you, a spirit of endurance, a heart of compassion, a resilience that cannot be shaken, a purpose that cannot be stolen. So I urge you, don't shy away from your trials. Don't run from the challenges. Embrace them, not because they're easy, but because God is with you in them. God is using them. God is transforming you through them. Unshakable faith God is the God of restoration, the God who sees everything, the God who transforms us through trials, and the God who works behind the scenes. In every moment, in every setback, in every tear, in every triumph, God is present, working, moving, shaping, and preparing. You may not always understand His timing or His methods, but you can trust in His heart. His heart is for you. His plans are for your good. His commitment is to your growth, your purpose, and your destiny. God is not done with you, not now, not ever. He is committed to turning your mess into a message, your test into a testimony, and your trial into a triumph. Let your faith rise above your feelings. Let your hope stand taller than your fear. Let your trust in God become a foundation that no storm can break. You are not alone. God is with you, and He is working in the seen and the unseen, in the victories and the struggles, in the light and the darkness. Step boldly into the future God is preparing for you. Embrace your journey, knowing that every challenge is a chance for transformation, every loss a gateway to gain, and every difficulty an opportunity for divine growth. You are being shaped into a testimony of God's miraculous power, His endless grace, and His unstoppable love. Trust in the God who sees, the God who restores, and the God who transforms. Trust in His process, trust in His promises, and know that you are walking in the power of a God who never fails, a God who will see you through, elevate you, and bring you into a destiny far greater than anything you could have imagined.